In this country has been put on a cold bar, frozen, no action taken, reasons political. Now the issue is there a problem with delimitation? Is delimitation unfair to South India? Yes, we will tell you why it is unfair to the South Indian states. Will delimitation change the political game? Yes, we will tell you why it's going to change the political game. Why is DMK and BRS opposed to delimitation exercise? The South states are of the view that the delimitation penalizes them for implementing population policy. They have a point. States in North India have not implemented population control properly, hence their strength in Lok Sabha will increase, which means more political strength. And the states which have good implementation policy to control population, their share will decrease or increase in a very, very cursory way. Tamil Nadu and other states will see an increase, as I mentioned, but it's not going to make much of a difference. Not like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, which are going to see more than 50% jump. And in a way, 5% jump cannot be compared with the 50% jump. So the question is, why is Stalin opposed to it? Why is BRS opposed to it? And is delimitation end up helping one type of politics against another? I asked this in To The Point. And on this show, I'll be joined by Pankaj Mishra. He's with me in the studio. Brajesh Pandey on Zoom. Vijay Grover, senior journalist. And S. Venkat Narayan, senior journalist. But the most important aspect is that why is delimitation creating so much of a stir in South India? Before we get into the show, let's listen into the bite that why are southern states opposed to it? What ground do they have? And I'll explain it to you that how delimitation can tilt the balance against the South states.
No, delimitation happens now and then periodically, and when it happens, the DMK will react in the manner it should be.
Okay. Sir, what about the wrestlers have been protesting?
Yeah, that we have been. Even our leader has extended support to those people, and they need to be given justice, but they are not even heard. They are on the streets for months together. So I think this is the situation and the state of the people who are in this country who are suffering, and how the union government is taking their issues into their mind.
So 2026 it is going to end, possibly we'll get a new land. For that to happen, 2024 new government, possibly we are going to come again, then a new committee, delimitation committee, composition of all MLAs, then it has to go through a process, pass an act. So it's a purely democratic process. So in the democratic process, Tamil Nadu's interest of course is going to get represented. I made an argument with my friends. Now BJP is 100%, we want an increase of MP seats. Naturally the current MPs can't manage, it will be impossible for them to manage 18 lakh, 19 lakh population. So increase has to happen. But only the population should not be the basis, which BJP also understands, everybody will know. So this will be accounted, because even in the Finance Commission, after BJP government has come to power, you would have seen the population is not the only concern. We have reduced the weightage to it. We have increased the other weightage also.
So my first question is to Vijay Grover, senior journalist who joins me. Vijay, why are southern states so edgy about delimitation?
Well, see, one thing, Katka's simple fact is that, if you were to today look at the situation in which, the delimitation is going to happen, the only region which is going to get shortchanged, I would call it, is the fact that it will be South India. Now, why is the South being punished? For the simple fact that just because the population rates have remained in control, and, the kind of growth of population that we have seen in the northern states has been controlled. So are they paying the price for, effective implementation of family planning? That, just because the population comes down, the economy has improved, and the center would look at, punishing them for the fact that you will have a lesser representation. What does it mean? It means that, the South will never have a political say. The southern states will never have a strong voice in the parliament, because, when you are talking of 39% coming down to over 32%, what is this? Is it fair? I mean, it's a basic question that just because, the southern states gave collectively good governance, or I would say better governance than many of the North Indian states, why is it being punished? It should have been vice versa, ulta, in the fact that, if southern states have demonstrated that they can manage their state better, they should have a bigger say in national affairs, instead of, being punished by having a lesser thing, just because population can never be the criteria for having a representation in the thing. Southern states, especially Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, have shown time and again that be it on any parameter of development, be it literacy rates, be it health index, or be it in family planning, that they have demonstrated they can manage their states better. And if that is the skill, that is something which is there in mind, the parliament should actually take cognizance of that and ensure that states which have shown better parameters should have more representatives who can implement these things in the states which are poorly governed. And this, I do not want to name any of these states in the northern region, but all of us know that UP and Bihar are the biggest culprits, and maybe Rajasthan, where health indexes and other parameters have nothing big to talk about.
And it's not the first time that the delimitation has happened. It happened in 1951, it happened in 1963, it happened in 1970 after 63, it happened in 1973. But since then, 76 and 2001, it has been frozen. No government was able to take this decision. Why?
Well,
Mr. Venkat, this question was to you.
Oh, you're asking me the question?
Yes, I'm asking you the question.
Yeah, I think we should be asking the people who are running this country why they did not have this delimitation process for decades. The basic point is that the South is way ahead of the North, the so-called cow belt states, in literacy rate, population growth has been controlled, and the whole thing is related to literacy rate and education. People in the South are better educated, and the literacy rate is very high as compared to literacy rate in UP and Bihar, which are big states, and you have a lot more illiterate people in these states than the rest of India. And so if and when we have a delimitation process going to be done in this country, it should be done after the general election, it should be done after the next census, and the population alone should not be the criteria. You have to give weightage to rate of growth and literacy rate, and a lot of combination factors need to be built in so that the South, which has been very successfully implementing the population policies, does not suffer. Kartikeya?
Okay, Pankaj, your opening thoughts?
Well, Kartikeya, the thing is, speaking to the point, I would say delimitation, the freeze that we are talking about, obviously it has been a long time, but then the resurrection of it won't come as a surprise. But taking a look at the political scenario as of now here, this is being seen more in terms of political mileage that a certain party would want to gain down south specifically. As far as the southern states like BRS or DMK are concerned, the political parties, well, they have already enumerated the reasons that why they should not be punished for keeping the population control measures strictly in place, and why the increasing number of populations in the cow belt, as one of our guests also mentioned, since it is increasing, so they should have more representation in the Lok Sabha. The way, as you mentioned, Kartikeya, the delimitations that happened over a period of time, starting from the 50s till 70s, they also witnessed the increase in number of Lok Sabha seats also. That is done equally in proportion, and that is the key area. Why southern states won't want it? Because they think that they have managed to run it well so far. Their policies have worked, irrespective of which particular party has been in power, but Congress and BJP have not in power in the south, and that's why they would rather want to treat it as their own domain. And this is one aspect that would unite the opposition parties even in South.
Let me tell you, before I go to Brijesh, these are estimated figures. Now, if we say, as of now, the 5 states, Karnataka 28, Tamil Nadu 39, Telangana 17, Andhra 25, Kerala 20, along the Union Territory of Puducherry have 130 seats in Lok Sabha. Now, if this is going to happen, in terms of the new
figures,
numbers are going to go up tremendously. You know, the estimated figures, let me just see the page. The estimated figures are so high that it's, you know, Uttar Pradesh will end up with possible seats in 140, more than 100 seats. Bihar roughly 79, Uttar Pradesh 143. Together 220 seats. 56 more seats than Uttar Pradesh together. Brijesh, this changes everything.
Well, it does, and this is the reason why there is so much concern as far as southern states are concerned. A, because it is unfair. B, the fact is that then the the leverage with the North Indian states will have over the polity of the country and the kind of disproportionate influence it will have as far as running the entire country. It'll be a nightmare as far as southern states and other states are concerned. I mean, if you have base in UP and Bihar, you are almost sorted. You don't need to, like, you want to be a national party, that's all right. But all you need to do is to have a presence in UP, Bihar, and a couple of other states, and you are done and dusted. And so, I think the concern which Stalin is raising is a very genuine concern. B, anything which speaks about hegemony of North or how North is trying to influence or put their politics, keeping South at a disadvantage, also works for the regional party. So I think DMK is also aware of the fact that this delimitation exercise, which starts with in 2026, is likely to happen in 2026. And if they go hammer and tongs about it, invoking Southern pride and all, it may also do electorally very well for the DMK as far as 2024 election is concerned. Remember, 2024 election is also a very, very crucial election as far as opposition parties are concerned, especially for the DMK, where it is in the middle of a coalition of other regional parties, along with the Congress party, where they want to upstage or dethrone Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So it works for them. The imposition of Hindi as a language, it works for them. And this particular, this scenario where the South will be fairly at a disadvantageous position vis-a-vis Uttar Pradesh and Bihar will definitely stroke the right sentiment, and honestly speaking, rightly so. Because there can never be a situation where you penalize a state just because they stick to the state and the said parameters, rather than penalizing the states which are not stuck with it.
I shouldn't be using the example of Pakistan because it's like apples and peaches, but you see, Punjab Assembly dominates the politics of Pakistan.
Right.
If you look at Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, if you look at Baluchistan, number hi nahi hai. So if this is the way Uttar Pradesh is going to go, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar will dominate the politics of Indian Parliament. I mean to say, this is so unfair.
Well, needless to say here, Karthikeya, because see, just look at the numbers also. 2026, if we take that marker going beyond 2024, the number of seats that would be increasing in Uttar Pradesh is roughly, 60 more seats will be added. For Bihar, it's 39 to 40 seats, almost doubling from the original strength as of now. But down south, if we take a look at it, then the numbers are just increasing by 10 or mere 12 seats. So obviously, given the fact that the representation would be reduced, and as it is being seen that development won't be rewarded, is something. But I would again insist here, Karthikeya, and being very to the point here, that it has got political overtones also. Remember what happened in Bihar, one of the reasons why Nitish Kumar snapped his ties with the BJP on the face of it was caste census also. And remember, census and delimitation go hand in hand. And that is one of the primary bases. Here, the center is objected to conducting caste census in Bihar, thus actually, leaving one of his partners. But again, that particular aspect would have thrown a different angle altogether to this whole population debate, whether the seats should be increased or not. Because on the basis of caste, the dimensions would change, the dynamics would change.
Brijesh, is it fair to have, Vijay Grover, to you, is it fair that one or two states actually have so much of power in the new Lok Sabha?
Well, see, this is a very dangerous trend, and people in the South have now understood that it is not just the political parties which take a stance. In fact, if you've seen, the anti-Hindi movements have now populated down to the level where the common man also feels that in the recent years, especially in the last 5-6 years, we've seen that Hindi is being thrust upon the people in the South, be it through the highways, be it through the railways, or be it through the income tax departments of the bank that forcible adoption of Hindi as a language is being thrust on the people in the south. And it is not just the political parties who oppose the move. Now it's the common man. We've seen so many civic movements which have started in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, where these have been opposed. And I'm sure the delimitation is also going to face a similar thing, where not just today Stalin and KTR may be the two who are raising these these issues on their platforms, but the fact is that the people of the states of the southern peninsula will definitely wake up to this and realize that if today even a state like Karnataka, because the common grouse is that most of the revenue which is even collected through GST does not get devolved to the southern states. It goes more to the backward states. So we have seen this economic disparity in the past after GST was brought in, and we are seeing that the similar thing might even happen politically. So it is not just one move of the delimitation. It's the devolution of GST, where southern states have felt shortchanged by the center, and despite having a finance minister who's from Karnataka. So clearly this is something which the people of these southern states will wake up to, and it could have a big bearing on both the national parties, the Congress and the BJP, who will be forced to spell their plans before the delimitation actually happens. We saw Annamalai's fight now, and Annamalai very clearly is not in sync with his own party's leadership. He is being forced to talk the way any Tamil leader would speak. So clearly you see the difference which is happening now, and this is what is expected that over the next year and before 2024 elections, certainly the people of the southern states who feel that they need to get their rightful share will have to raise their voice and not let this delimitation in the present format on population alone being thrust on their throats.
Okay, Venkat, this is not only about the seats, it's also about the reorganization. The Northeast is having a problem. Northeast is saying that in reorganizing the Lok Sabha seats, there's a community,
particular communities, yes,
couple of seats from being a major player will end up becoming a minor player. So it's just not about the numbers, it's about the reorganization part also.
That is true. So they have to work out a methodology by which, let's say, in the north of India, a constituency's population should be about 10 lakhs. Then in the south, it should be maybe 8 lakhs or 7 lakhs or something like that. And they have to work out a formula which will be acceptable to all the southern states, so that they do not feel aggrieved or they do not feel shortchanged, and they don't feel alienated. So I think it's a very serious issue. We still have 3 more years or 2.5 years for the delimitation process to start. This is enough time for everybody to put their heads together and work out a solution that is acceptable to people in the south as well as the north, Kartikeya.
But Pankaj, that's about the Northeast. You also have issue of Deccan. For example, it's like Lok Sabha election. A lot of people are saying that this will particularly help out Bharatiya Janata Party, because they have recreated their bastard in Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh.
Definitely, and that's one of the reasons why, Kartikeya, you are right. The political parties down south know this fact, that this particular stroke of delimitation could be politically also challenging for them, because obviously BJP's intent to make inroads there as well. That is one aspect. Secondly, they know that most of the work that is being done when it comes to the number of seats being increased, that is the central part of India, the Deccan region, and Bihar, for that matter, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, these are the regions which would be benefiting the most, and that's what the core political game happens. But as one of our honorable member panelists is also saying that political isolation part, that is a key factor when it comes to bringing the southern politicos also on the same page as far as delimitation is concerned. And yes, you are right when you mention Northeast. Assam is the state which obviously is facing a very crucial issue here about a particular community. So politically, I would definitely say that it is something that the southern political parties would be, opposing it tooth and nail, and they have all the reasons to do so.
But more than that, I think, isn't it the fact that, delimitations kills the career of the politician? For example, if you look at career of Sachin Pilot, when the DOSA got dissolved, he had to go to Ajmer.
Definitely.
He almost lost his political career.
And that's what...
Look at Jitin Prasad. Shahjahanpur ki constituency dissolved hui. He couldn't win another election. So it's going to affect multiple players in Lok Sabha.
Yes, your core voters get shifted. The zone completely changes, and that's the fear in Assam.
Is this correct? Do you agree with me, Brijesh?
Well, absolutely. There are many seats, where one towering political personality who has won the seat 3-4 times, all of a sudden stares as a bleak political future given the delimitation. And that has not happened to these two, but that has happened to many other political personalities. But I think, the concern of southern states is also genuine. It's not that they are just shooting in the air and or they are trying to drum up a political point. The fact is that yes, their concern is genuine, because any party post 2026 delimitation, any party which gets UP and Bihar and one more seat, doesn't need to crack the code in rest of the country, and that puts a very dangerous situation as far as the country is concerned. You cannot have this kind of a lopsided seat distribution where population is only, or rather the main key as far as division or increase in the number of seats is concerned, because that is a very, very scary situation. And I think, the delimitation exercise have to also factor in, or rather punish, those states who are not following the principle, rather than, rewarding them with more number of seats.
If delimitation of seats in parliament and assembly is an exercise of redrawing boundaries and constituencies. Article 81 of the Indian Constitution defines the composition of Lok Sabha, and Article 82 deals with the delimitation of the seat. The exercise is deemed to be essential as the division of seats on the basis of population is rendered dated. And you see, delimitations that happened, I'm showing you the history. So delimitation has happened in the country.
Yes.
But in 70s and 80s, delimitation did not take place because of political reason. One, Indira Gandhi had has gone ahead with emergency. She was not assured of support from North Indian states, because in 67 the Congress has lost power, and then in 2001 it has happened. So what I find, Vijay, is that when it comes to key issues, everything is determined by politics. Delimitation happened because a type of politics was involved. When it did not suit, the delimitation was frozen. Census and caste, people will commission it, but they will not publish it because it will not suit them.
Exactly.
So you want to account for people but not share the data. You want to create more representation for people, but you want to do so that it suits your politics. I mean to say, in a modern democracy, it's just not right.
Well, Karthikeya, this is exactly what I was telling, that this has come to a stage where the people of the southern states feel shortchanged, and that's something, because as I gave you the reference of GST also, a state which contributes at number 3, Karnataka, as far as contribution to the GST central pool is concerned, is 8th or 9th in the ranking when it comes to devolution of revenue, or be it Maharashtra, which is number 1, but gets at the 5th place whatever revenue is supposed to come to it. So clearly this is something where over a period of time you'll realize that this format of putting all the power into the center is something which will make the states feel alienated, and that is a fear, because the kind of sentiment that is there cutting across states in the south, we are seeing that including Maharashtra, because if you look at the kind of growth of seats in the northern states, even Maharashtra has just about the same number of seats or percentage of share that it has. So clearly, this is something where larger thought has to be put in, not just politically, socially also, because the impact and the division is on the basis of social equality that we are talking of. And states which have performed better, states which have contributed to the economy of the country better, they will be poorly represented, and that is something where this will again, I think so, need a lot more inputs to go in, and the format. So maybe 70s, Indira Gandhi did not do it, or after 2001 we've not seen it, but clearly this is something where it cannot happen just because it was the trend in the past. Now I think so, all political parties, all people need to put together that if India collectively has to become a better country with more representation from the southern states, if because the performance indexes are very high, we should be able to expect that and accept it, that the poorer states need support, but cannot get the political power with the kind of financial support that the south of India or the west of India gives to them.
But I find this very, very unfair, Vijay, because one reason is that it just allows population and area. There are two things, and it allows one area to have much more say in the system. It is like Greater Bangalore. Greater Bangalore has great say because it's a concentrated. It's Greater Mumbai. It has got more than 48 MLAs. So this sort of a politics whereby population or the concentration of population decides, not the region, is also not equitable in nature.
Well, Karthikeya, see the very parameter, earlier it was on the basis of population, and Bikaner in Rajasthan is the biggest constituency geographically. Forget campaign, no member of parliament, including Dharmendra who was there, could even meet his, people of the constituency, because, on the basis of population, that is the largest spread geographic parliamentary seat, and it is unfair to the people of Bikaner that they could never meet, or the MP could never visit every village of that constituency. So that cannot be the only criteria. And as Mr. Venkatarayan very rightly said, that different states will have to get different population indexes. That if it's 10 lakhs in the north, it could be 8 lakhs over here. That is where scientifically we will have to put our heads together, and concentration of power just in a Greater Mumbai or a Greater Bangalore, or for that matter Delhi, with a population of about 2 crores, having seven MPs, which will go up to about 15 now. These should break, and that is something where not just the politicians, the civic society, and the bureaucracy will have to actually draft new formulae, new scientific methods to ensure that every citizen of this country has an equitable share in the growth of the country, especially when you're talking of Kartavya Kal. I think so the Kartavya will have to start from here, where there is equitable and fair allocation of members of parliament who will be representing the state, the constituency, and the country.
No, because a lot of people would say that if numbers are the way into the assemblies and Lok Sabha, it also means that certain areas which are bigger, much more diverse, will not have that say, which means as a pressure group, the South Indian states will become weaker. As a pressure group, they will have lesser say. I mean to say that sort of an equality also has to be there. Why should equality only rest on numbers?
That's why, delimitation, or for that matter, drawing up the numbers based on population doesn't work exactly for South India. And you are right when you talk about, say, a demand-supply graph. If you take a look at it, obviously, the northern part of India, with most of its populous states, there are 6 or 7 of them, would need more dole, more support from the center. Obviously, for political reasons, it will be given to them also. But the states, the exchequer, obviously trying to sustain it, would need subsidies. Now, these subsidies will be denied to southern states, and that's why, for that matter, Kanimoi, or for that matter, K.T. Ramarao is always voicing their displeasure on it. Telangana, for that matter, a very new state, nascent state, 2014, only 9 or 10 years old. They need as of now support right from the basic ground root farming to water supply to electricity and everything. But so is Uttar Pradesh, so is Bihar. Now the consumption is more, the demand is more in Bihar. So states like Telangana, states like Andhra, for that matter, states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, for that matter, would automatically be deprived. Secondly, if a general consensus has to be made within the country, and if 6 to 7 states, say from the central part of the country, they wield most number of voices and representation, then the south would automatically be marginalized and negated, and anything that has to be passed within the country would be automatically done by
Okay,
these
Brijesh, to the point, do you think that the BJP will benefit from this sort of a delimitation, or am I reading too much?
No, BJP will definitely benefit from this, but there's no reading too much into it, Karthikeya. Because BJP is a party which dominates the North India. I mean, it has presence all over the country, but it is not that much of a formidable force, barring Karnataka in the south, and that is the reason why there have been a massive southern surge, southern push by the BJP to gain an entry, to gain acceptance into the electoral fold, and they've been trying their level best to gain an entry. But if that situation doesn't happen, and 2026 going by the way things are looking up right now, I think it'll give BJP a massive heads up as far as the 2029 election is concerned. Because if you have 220 or 200 plus seats coming only from UP and Bihar, I mean, how many states you need to conquer to get an absolute majority? You need to win only 3 to 4 max to max seats. And given the fact that you are powerful and have presence in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and other states, Haryana and others, you seriously don't need to expand your footprints in the south, because you get more than 300.
Then let me ask you this question. Do you think that Stalin will be able to stitch some sort of an alliance, because even the south is fractured? Jagan Mohan Reddy is not part of NDA or UPA but supports Narendra Modi. Chandrasekhar Rao, who runs BRS, wanted to head a different sort of a third front, is opposed to Congress, and BJP doesn't have good relations with the Congress. Then you have Karnataka under Congress, then you have left parties opposed to Congress, then you have Stalin, which is aligned with Congress. Do you think that the south as a unit can cooperate on this issue despite such fractured loyalties?
I think south as a whole we cannot count, because earlier BRS was not that averse to Congress, but post Karnataka election result, now they are averse to Congress, because now all of a sudden Congress is being seen as a formidable challenger to the BRS. BRS knows that BJP doesn't have that kind of heft, and the party is battling an internal party feud and can't be much of a opposition to the BRS. So BRS has its reasons to be averse to Congress. I think a lot will be decided once we know for sure as to how many seats one political party wins, and that is going to be Congress. I think post-election alliance will have a much firmer say rather than pre-election alliance. And we also have to understand, Karthikeya, that with Enforcement Directorate and Central Bureau of Investigation and BRS firmly in the crosshairs of the Enforcement Directorate, I think BRS won't have much of a chance if the Congress and other opposition parties get a good number of seats in 2024 general elections.
Pankaj?
Well, yes. See, I mean, Brijesh, what you are mentioning is obviously, I would say on the face value of it, it is clearly a feasibility. Yes, that factor is there. But obviously, keeping in mind, we have seen how BRS responded, K. Chandrasekhar Rao's party responded when KCR's daughter K. Kavita was summoned for the liquor scam case to Delhi, and the way they showed their teeth to the central agencies shows the heft once again there, and they are as of now milking it. But the question here remains.
Pankaj, yes. Just a small thing. At that point of time, Karnataka election results had not come, so they are not counting too much into this thing. The equation has undergone the complete change post Karnataka election. Because earlier, all the Congress leaders wanted to join BRS, but now nobody wants to join BRS. BRS. You don't have people from other parties are joining Congress. So the power equation has completely changed. Please carry on.
Yes, I mean, see, those things, we can't just write them off, as far as the political opposition unity is concerned. Definitely, the rise of the Congress, the heft of the Congress growing, obviously was a cause of concern for BRS. And they chose, recently, KCR said that they would want to go alone. In these 2024 elections. That part is there, but then we still have some time, to cross over to 2024. And with the glue, the galloping political moves that are happening down south in coalition, in coordination with, say, a TMC and NCP, for that matter, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party. Well, these things will, in a way, shape more finer political lines in the days to come. And I, personally feel that BRS could be at best a fence sitter, but there are more chances that it would be rather siding against the BJP.
Really? Vijay, do you agree? Vijay?
Yeah. I think so. We're speculating quite a bit on this, but Pankaj could not be off target as far as, this is something which is concerned, because the next 2-3 days, when the 17th, 18th meeting happens over here, where the Congress is trying to stitch an alliance, I'm sure we'll have more clarity on this as to who all could be fence sitters, because many parties, like even JDS in Karnataka, has now made up its mind that it would rather go with the BJP than go with the third front. So, the mega plans that KCR had planned of a third non-Congress, non-BJP alliance somewhere seems to be falling apart. Because, except for maybe Mamta, which is not very sure about going with the Congress or with the BJP, not many other political parties can, risk that kind of a stance. And, BRS and maybe a handful of parties would be waiting and watching as to which side of the bread is buttered better, so that they could make up their mind sooner or later.
Vijay, Anurag Naidu, political analyst, also joins me. Welcome, Anurag. We were debating, is delimitation opposed to the interest of the southern states? I feel so. If the delimitation ends up increasing a lot of seats for the South Indian parties, I think it somehow harms their interest. It reduces their political strength. All said and done, it's 39 plus 1 seats for Tamil Nadu, 40 seats. Okay, Uttar Pradesh, it's 80. Suppose it becomes 120, 130. Uttar Pradesh becomes a super state. So it's like American imperfection. I always call this imperfections of American democracy. Florida has more votes than many other bigger states. Or it's like you got to go to Illinois, bellwether states. So that's the imperfection of American democracy. Smaller states have more numbers. Here, the populous states have more numbers. So, tomorrow the elections would be like, okay, you got to go to UP, you got to go to Bihar, and then you go to Maharashtra. Rest, it will be taken care. You don't go to Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, Kartikeya, it's very interesting. But what's an imperfection in America? Not being challenged cannot be the case in India, because in India, if you actually see the whole concept of delimitation and the whole guidelines laid out by the Delimitation Commission, and also what Mr. Stalin has been mentioning about the population control measures, which they have implemented in Tamil Nadu and states like Kerala, but North is free from that, and then that will lead to some kind of imbalance. But let me tell you, the whole logic of delimitation is based on a set of rules and the guidelines. And if any state or any party, South is a conglomerate of a lot of regional parties, if they feel that there is injustice done, the courts of India has not shied away from giving a strict or the stern warning, from intervening from in the process, and also setting aside things that are unfair to one or the other side. So let's also understand India has a very vocal legal and judicial system, and I'm sure people, and these are not the parties who do not have the muscle or the resources to go and approach the competent authority or the courts, or even go to the public forums and create this kind of a campaign against BJP if it really benefits them. The whole narrative that I feel that the opposition party is trying to build here is that in any ways, BJP is, looking invincible. They know that is going to come back again. They know that again and again and again. So the way BJP is juggernauting across India, they know that they are the force who would be, very difficult to, face with. And then they want to create this north and south divide, which serves their political narrative. Then they want to block the BJP's entry into the south, which BJP has been desperately trying in the states, particularly like, when we have states like Tamil Nadu with Mr. Annamalai.
I am not interrupting you. I'm not interrupting you. There is no sense of ethics in politics. If someone is trying to stop someone's entry in South, I mean to say, it's politics. Hasn't BJP broken both the biggest regional parties in Maharashtra? No virtue in it. Tod diya. Haven't they stolen two smaller parties in Maharashtra?
All I'm trying to say, Karthikeya, is
so what's wrong if Stalin is doing it? My point is coming from this perspective.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. That's what I'm telling. That is the only point of the South Indian parties opposing that is to, have their political narrative served. So that is okay. I mean, people are not going to buy into it. And at the end of the day, if it is a data-driven, rule-book-driven exercise of delimitation, and I'm sure 100%, even the South parties would welcome a delimitation exercise, but as long as it serves their political motives and they're benefiting their numbers. So as long as that happens, they're totally fine. So there cannot be two set of rules for North and South. And if that is the narrative they're trying to peddle, and particularly the problem with DMK has always been that they're trying to identify themselves as a different union, which is not in the interest of the country. So let us stop this discussion of North and South divide. There are many states like Karnataka, like Andhra, the governments have not opposed this policies of delimitation. Jagan Mohan Reddy has not opposed. They have 25 seats in Andhra. So I think let's also wait and see how it rolls out. And then if you really have some gaps, you cannot completely stop this exercise of delimitation, which is due and which serves the overall interest of India. It's a lot of other leaders who can probably bring in a lot of
delimitation was stopped in 1976 by Indira Gandhi when there was an emergency. It was stopped by Atal Bihari Vajpayee also.
That's right.
2001. So two prime ministers have done it from different spectrum. And there is no stated there was no stated objective कि मैंने इसलिए किया. No, nothing like that exists.
That's right. और अभी करना चाहते हैं तो हमें करने देना चाहिए कार्तिक. हमें क्यों? Why should we not support it this time? Why should we not call for a delimitation? In fact, we should all be debating about what can be the common guidance which serves everyone's interest, rather than calling names and setting political narratives and making people fight on this, and then nothing happens. Last time maybe it was because of the two prime ministers. This time maybe because of multiple political parties opposing it for their own selfish political narratives. So let's not let that happen.
Vijay, you don't agree, huh? So I'll give you the mic and then I'm going to go to Mr. Venkat.
Well, see, I don't know what Mr. Naidu is referring to, but the fact that, as a fellow South Indian, I'm sure he'll understand that, lesser representation in the parliament for the southern states will certainly not do good to south of India. And, he may have his own political point of view, but the fact remains that, this is something which may end up being unfair, and that is what I'm telling you, with the GST being a very classic example where the southern states have got shortchanged in the last 4-5 years. We do not want that if we've lost our financial control, we do not want to lose our political control also. Do you think that, with parties from two states controlling the country, will they even bother about south of India or the interests of South India? We have seen so many projects which were earlier to be in South have not got the kind of allocations. Karnataka, after so many years, has been promised doubling of railway tracks, which has happened everywhere in Bihar, and UP has not got it still. Why? Just because we did not have the kind of political voice, or we did not have the kind of, pressure group that could have taken place, despite Sadanand Gowda being a railway minister from here, but he could not get funds allocated. So you can imagine if this is the condition of the South today, what it will be after delimitation, where there will be no political say. We'll be just, the supporting actors in this entire political drama, and there will be nothing that the state will have to gain out of this, and every southern state certainly will feel shortchanged on this.
Mr. Naidu?
Yeah, I have two quick points, and this is I'm telling you with absolute emotional feeling. Being from South Indian states, first of all, more than the numbers, of course, South should have a very good representation. For all good reasons, I will support that. But the point is, what kind of a message are we sending when we have in the states like Andhra or Telangana, 25 MPs in Andhra, they go and keep mum in the parliament. What change they have been able to bring in for Andhra, I don't know. With the 16 MPs of the Telangana, they only follow what their leader says, and what kind of a quality and the change or impact they're going to create, I don't know. So sheer adding numbers will not give any kind of impact unless you first hold your state government or respective parties, regional parties who people support, and then vote them, give them a bunch of leaders. They don't do anything in the parliament. So I'm more concerned on the quality than the quantity here. But having said that, representation does not always mean quality or always mean quantity. But if there is disproportionate representation based on the data and based on the analysis of the Delimitation Commission, we can definitely go on the streets and fight for it. Number one. Number two, I'm very tired and sick of this argument of we pay the second highest, largest GST in the world. In India, we are the second, but we don't get that kind of a grants. Let's also understand India is a union, and we pay for the India's national development. People who are boasting from states like Karnataka or Andhra or any other states, let's also not forget when in the COVID, people from Bihar and UP, when they migrated, your GST and the economy has collapsed. So you also have to give respect that the backbone for your GST are the migrant workers and the resources that entire Union of India, all the people from 29 states put to cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad and Chennai to make them develop. And that is how you become cash rich, and that is how you're paying the GSTs. And of course, you have responsibility, which is a shared responsibility. And union government is well aware of that. And as somebody, a prime minister or the union, as a caretaker of the India, has to take care interest of the entire country. Because if we say India is one, we should never be talking about I'm paying more, I'm getting less. Then you're talking nothing but trying to be and then you stop taking services of any other states. Why do you want to have the workers coming from UP, Bihar, and Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh when you want to call them names, and then you don't want to give opportunity? So I think that is not the kind of mindset that we have grown. That is not the kind of ideology in India we celebrate. So let's be one, and let's have this concept of entire inclusive development and inclusive growth.
Okay, Pankaj.
Well, see, I mean, I was just, it made me remember a few aspects of the Election Commission, as Mr. Naidu was mentioning about the migrant workers. And this, Kartikeya, we had done this story, extensive story on this, the voting facility for the migrant workers in different states, talking about trying to address what Mr. Naidu was mentioning, that what happens to all those migrant workers who once leave one particular state, their economy also goes into a doldrum. Secondly, well, see, the statistics, obviously, we cannot, turn a blind eye to that. Southern states saying that being 18% of the total India's population, yet they contribute 35% of the India's GDP. This is one factor that needs to be taken into consideration also. The new parliament building, the visuals of which we are showing on our screens also, one key reason, Kartikeya, for drawing the parliament and making a new parliament was the increase in the number of seats. So all these things are definitely in the pipeline. The process is on, be it the migrant workers, be it attending to the needs of the states. Only thing is there should be clarity and proper distribution and allocation of the resources.
I think the bottom line here is that the delimitation exercise is required because the population has gone up.
Yes.
Now, the population is the only way in which in democracies where first past the poll, you decide how many MPs you have. That's the way it is. That's what we have decided.
Yes.
It's not a proportional representation system like Germany. Then probably we'll end up with a parliament double its size. Maybe we'll have to accommodate parliamentarians in both the Lok Sabhas, because I don't think we'll be able to accommodate them in one parliament. So that will double up. It means that you'll have 1,500 MPs, something like that. So it's not going to happen in India. But what is required is the sense of equity, which is that just because one state is big and has a lot of enemies, it cannot dominate the Indian politics. You cannot create condition of those countries where single province dominates the entire country. We have seen that why Myanmar is called Burma, because Burma was the biggest part of Myanmar. Persia was changed to Iran because Persia was the biggest part of Iran. People forget that there are other ethnicities and principalities. Punjab dominates Pakistan. So we also need to understand that it's important. It should proceed. what happened in 76 and 2001 should not happen, but South states should not pay. So this is all in my program, to the point. Thank you so much, all of you.
ChatGPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today?
All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition that cannot be automated or repeated or replaced by a machine.
ChatGPT may kill many companies. A human has to be in the loop with an ability to control this.
Dark Side of the Boom. Streaming